first, and just introduce yourself as well. We're going to go up there as well.
Good afternoon, Minister. Bianca Capozorio from the Sunday Times. I have two questions. During your speech earlier, your response, you indicated that there are some NGOs in South Africa who have made it their preoccupation to destabilize the government. Can you name them, please? And secondly, what is your progress with regards to the investigation regarding claims that the public protector Lindiwe Mazibuko, Joseph Matunjwa, and Julius Malema were spies, please?
Wyndham Hartley from Business Day. Minister, to follow up on Bianca's question, if there are these hordes of foreign agencies plotting with NGOs to destabilize South Africa, how come there have been no arrests and no prosecutions?
Rahima Esop from EWN. Minister, how seriously is your department and how seriously are you taking the recent comments made by Julius Malema about his barrel of the gun comments that his party is not afraid to take up arms should it be provoked and intimidated? And is Mr. Malema, after making those comments, is he a threat to national security?
The last one here for now.
Minister, in your speech, you made mention of a cyber security center foiling a hacktivist attack. If you can just give a little bit more details. Was that a South African national? Where is the person from? What did it involve? How was he caught? Is the person arrested? A little bit more details about that, please. And then also, with reference to your speech, you said very specifically that there are a growing number of South Africans who are associating themselves with terrorist organizations such as IS. Now, last year there was you guys made a big deal about your early intervention, early warning about the young woman who was stopped from going overseas. Can you give me can you give us a sense of how many people are we looking at? I mean, I know it's always difficult, but I mean, you are mentioning now a growing number. If you can just contextualize that, please. We have there are 50 people on our radar or something along those lines, please. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. With respect to the question around the NGOs, we must know that NGOs, they've played an important role in our struggle for freedom, and they will continue to play an important part. In our own constitutional dispensation, we have said some of the strides we've made in our constitutional democracy is about creation of this thriving condition for civil society. But we know where we sit, that there are certain NGOs, like it happening on the question of color revolution. There are certain things that as South Africans we must be able to respond to as a nation. Why will you have one country being present in all countries and not present in itself? If you find an opportunity, read what is color revolution, where you will have NGOs that are not South African NGOs, who are not in certain countries as NGOs. You have just made it your preoccupation to come to a particular country, and some of the NGOs, they can't explain where is their funding. Where does it come from? Who are the directors? What are these activities they are doing? Well, some of them, they can't even explain that if you are a non-governmental organization working in a democratic dispensation, why you do possess equipments that we do possess ourselves? You go there to their premises, highly securitized. And these are the issues that we must be able to discuss. In South Africa, there is a space for NGOs. They played their part. They will continue to play their part. But there are those who are very funny, whose actions we know from our tradecraft that they are working for other agencies. When we spoke about how foreign agencies, they use various platforms to push their agenda, we raised the question about civil society or NGOs that is actually being used. Therefore, we will not be apologetic, but I will never, as a Minister of State Security and this team, start to actually give that. Our duty is to say we know what we're dealing with and what's the extent of the problem. With respect to the issues of espionage that have happened, and there are a number of those South Africans that they find themselves collaborating and collaborating either wittingly or unwittingly. And no country in terms of our tradecraft will never follow those issues. I've got a feedback from my team. We've studied the report. We'll be able to process it internally. And South Africans, we shall never make a mistake. We must know who we are. We are South Africans first and foremost. Secondly, we must know where we come from, whether our history was painful and ugly, but we must know where we what we stand for. The view that everybody, after we obtain democracy, is our friend. It's not true. But because we have a policy as guided by the Freedom Charter and our Constitution, we are part of a global community. We will make peace and friendship with the countries of the world. But other countries, we don't share the similar view on how to deal with global issues. The issue of Mr. Malema raising those particular issues, we must note that everybody has a right to express himself as provided for in the Constitution. But these rights have a limitation. There is a contravention of the laws of this country. Those of you who have copies of our Constitution, find space and time and look at chapter 16, chapter 2 of our Constitution, section 16, subsection 2. These rights are about freedoms of expression of all kinds. They have a limitation. Propagating war is not allowed. It's not allowed. And it's a responsibility of South Africans and the media to say so. We know our duty as law enforcement agencies will do what we're supposed to do. But no one can threaten South Africans and we say it's right. I've said in my mother tongue there, ukuthi uma uhlanya likhuluma bangumsindi ungathula nje ulibuka kodwa maliqala lithatha umentshiso ucabanga ukuthi wena kuzoba right uzosha. And we've seen some of these elements being caught with guns. We have said that the issues of proliferation of arms and ammunition can't be allowed. Leaders must act responsibly. The call to leadership is not an easy call. Those of us who are in leadership must be able to build a nation. And these statements are not acceptable. I've seen my organization, the ANC, has opened up the case, and we hope that the law enforcement agencies will investigate this matter. But our Constitution, let's not second guess it here. It's clear. We have the Bill of Rights, but that section 16, subsection 2 is very clear about this incident. The hacking, the DG will respond to this. Comrade Ellen will also deal with some of the issues. The terrorist organizations, as we're saying, there is no country that is immune. South Africans are actually moving around the world. We have actually done a lot of operations ourselves. We will not give you the numbers, unfortunately, because that's how we run these operations. There are South Africans that have left the country, and some of them they've came back. And we've done an operation on all of them. There's none that we have lost on the way. They get out, especially to these countries that are normally exposed to terrorist activities or conflicts, especially your Syria, your Iraq, and others. But we also have a problem of certain South Africans who are practicing their trade, who continues to provide military assistance, and they've just commercialized the question of fighting for other countries or fighting for a flag that doesn't belong to them. And we're engaging with those security companies that are providing military assistance to those particular areas, because their actions, if they are not authorized, they will expose our country. You go to a particular country, go and fight them, either as a mercenary or as a professional service provider, and you are fighting a war you don't understand for commercial reasons, and you throw the threat to us as a nation. And those are the issues that we are grappling with. But our message to South Africans is that radicalization on a false ideology, to say that your plight is because of this government, or your plight is because of religion, or your plight is because of a political ideology, that could not be sustained because it's inherently inquisious. These are the things that they are recruiting young people. And it's a responsibility then that if your child starts to behave in a particular way, you start to attend to these issues. Our religious organization too, they can't allow their churches and their mosques to be used to radicalize our people. These are the issues that we thought that we need to take the nation into confidence and be able to say we are vulnerable, but we are stable. Our vulnerability levels can be lessened as long as South Africans, they play their part. We'll play our part in dealing with the issues. Comrade